Mr. Mayor, how can you sit there with a straight face and say crime is down? Since you became mayor in 2016, knife crime has gone up by 27%. Violence against the person has increased by 26%. Robbery has increased by 57%. Theft has increased by 37%. Shoplifting has increased by 109%. Sexual offences have increased by 64%. All crime since you, Sadiq Khan, became Mayor of London have increased by 26%. Don't Londoners deserve the truth about the state of crime in the capital from you?
Well, Chair, before I respond to the supplementary question, can I ask you to use your good offices to make sure that Assemblymember Terrell doesn't have the whip removed for raising concerns of civil liberties groups? We were taken aback by the concern for human rights coming from the Tories, but we welcome.
He's wasting time, Mr. Chairman.
Doing so. Look, let me respond to the question that was written for the member on his behalf for him to read out. In my opening, just mentioned some of the examples of the progress we've made since 2016, reducing crime in the face of a rising population and in the face of government austerity. I mean, the ONS, which is nothing to do with us, themselves says, and the Commissioner referred to this in a different way, that you're less likely to be the victim of violence in London than the rest of England and Wales, less likely to be the victim of violence with injury in London than the rest of England and Wales. And we've just been talking about the progress made reducing the most serious crime there can be, which is homicides in London. There is a concern, though, which has been raised with me over the last few years, about high-volume crime, what we call high-volume crime, in relation to shoplifting.
So the answer is you don't want to talk about the truth. What you're doing now is what you did at the beginning. You spoke about random date ranges that fit your narrative. That's not how crime statistics work. And if you don't like what I've read out, then speak to the Commissioner next to you and ask him if his officers are reporting the truth.
Very unusually, I am disappointed in one of you, but I am completely appalled by the other. So, Mayor Khan, in January, I asked if we had grooming gangs in London. You dismissed my question by saying you didn't know what I meant. What does she mean, Chair? What is she talking about? I have to tell you, the rape victims knew exactly what I was talking about, and actually so did most other people. So would you like to apologise to all those victims of the rape gangs that actually saw you dismiss this?
Well, Chair, I'd like to begin these topics by always thinking about the victims and survivors who've been treated appallingly over many, many years, particularly in the northern towns. And what they want is two things. One is support, and it's very important we give them support, and I'll set out shortly some of the support we've given to victims of violence and sexual exploitation. But secondly, justice to be done as well, which is incredibly important. And I've led efforts to strengthen the protection of children and those women exploited by abuse and exploitation.
Yeah, can you just issue an apology to those rape victims that have since phoned me? I mean, I can't tell you how many people have contacted me. Would you just like to apologise to them for pretending you didn't know what these rape gangs were?
It is really important. We're talking about an incredibly serious and emotive issue to actually clarify what is meant when it comes to grooming gangs, or in the words of the member, rape gangs. According to the National Grooming Inquiry, there are a number of things that are meant by this. They include intrafamilial abuse. They include peer-on-peer abuse.
Okay, you're not doing yourself any favours here, Mayor Khan. Everybody knows what I was talking about, except you, it would appear. And since you're the Police and Crime Commission, that's very embarrassing for you. I didn't stop asking questions. I asked your Deputy Mayor and never, ever got an answer, of course.
I'm determined that we continue to be both tough on crime and tough on the complex causes of crime. As part of this, I'm providing record funding for the police from City Hall. My final budget this year included a £1.16 billion annual investment in the police, more than double than the previous mayor. This funding is helping to protect neighbourhood policing in our communities and is ensuring that the Met can take tough action on crimes like shoplifting and phone theft. This includes, for example, increasing the police presence in hotspot areas in the West End by 50%. As Mayor, I'll continue to invest record amounts from City Hall in the police, but we know we'll never be able to simply arrest our way out of the problem, particularly youth violence. Without in any way excusing violent crime, the causes are extremely complex and involve deep-seated issues, including poverty, inequality, and lack of opportunities for young people. That's why I'll continue to provide positive opportunities for young Londoners, fund activities for children during the school holidays, and support our violence reduction unit, which is working to prevent crime. Our funding so far has helped to create more than 500,000 positive opportunities to divert vulnerable young Londoners away from criminal gangs and crime and towards training and employment. The good news is that we know our approach is working. Despite our population rising by more than 1 million and austerity from the previous government, since 2016, violence with injury is down by 14%, homicide is down by 22%, burglary is down by 29%, a reduction of nearly 20,000 offences. Gun crime with a lethal barrel discharge is down by nearly 50%. And compared to last year, knife crime is down by 18%, personal robbery is down by 13%, and theft from the person is down by 16%. In addition, the number of murders in the capital in the first 9 months of this year was the lowest since monthly records began and represents a fall of 58% compared to 2003. We've all seen how some politicians and commentators are desperate to talk London down because it suits their political agenda. Of course, we still have a long way to go and we must never be complacent. But the truth is, we're making progress in London, and according to the ONS, you're less likely to be a victim of violent crime in our capital than across the rest of England and Wales. After 14 years of cuts by the previous government, the funding landscape for the Met remains challenging. The new government has already increased police funding, and I'll continue to make the case for the additional investment the Met desperately needs. I want to finish, Chair, by talking about police reform, which remains a key priority for me. Whilst the Met has taken significant action since the Casey review, the appalling footage in the recent BBC documentary shows how much further the Met still has to go. Asbel can continue to support and hold the Met to account to ensure the necessary reforms are put in place and that Londoners have the police service they deserve.
In the end, what this exchange reveals is more than just political theatre. It's a clash over truth, accountability, and the very safety of Londoners. On one side, critics point to rising figures in knife crime, robbery, theft, and sexual offences, demanding honesty about the scale of the problem. On the other, the mayor defends his record by pointing to long-term reductions in violent crime, homicides, and gun offences, arguing that progress is being made despite population growth and years of government austerity. Yet beneath all the claims and counterclaims sits a deeper issue: trust. Londoners want to believe their leaders are being straight with them, not picking selective date ranges or leaning on selective statistics. They want to know that their concerns about rising shoplifting, youth violence, and exploitation are being heard, not dismissed. And they want a police service that not only tackles crime but reforms itself from within, rebuilding confidence after years of damaging scandals. Yes, progress exists. Yes, the challenges are complex. But none of that removes the responsibility of leaders to communicate clearly, act decisively, and engage honestly with the people they serve. Because ultimately, crime isn't just numbers on a page, it's lives, neighborhoods, and futures at stake. So as the debate continues, one question remains. Are Londoners truly getting the full picture about crime in their city, or only the version that suits those in power?